Hello and welcome to Snetterton for the final race meeting in the Dunlop Great and British Motorsport Festival package of 2009. A whole host of champions will be crowned this weekend, and the first of our races is the highlights for the first of the Radical Club Cup races, with on pole position the number 39 car in the hands of the youngster Tom Ashton. He sits there in the Radical PR6 on pole position. Alongside him, somebody who's very much at the sharp end of the championship, from man from Ballymena in Northern Ireland, Colin Miller, sits alongside him on the front row of the grid. Onto row two, that's where we see the number 7 car, the black car with the white flashes in the hands of Darren Luke. And the reigning champion, another man that's poised to take the championship possibly this weekend, Jonathan Wright, sits there on the outside of the front row of the grid. Well, they're under starter's orders. The red lights are about to come on, and we're about to go racing for the first time at Snetterton. And as the lights go out, it's a very good start from Tom Ashton from the front row of the grid. Colin Miller matches him alongside. We ride on board in the early stages of this race with Jonathan Wright, who looks as though he's tucked himself through into third position as they head up to the first corner. Darren Luke, who started third, has dropped down into fourth position. There's a spin there. That looks like that's Richard Carver at the wheel of the Radical SR3 that's had the problem in the early stages. He should recover and continue his way around the circuit as the rest of the pack presses on. Out of Sear corner and down the very long Revit straight they will thread their way as we ride now on board with another one of our SR3s that we have in the field. This is Charles Loughran, who's got, by the look of things, pulling alongside and gaining a place. David Franklin, that was there. We're side by side as well for fourth position, with Darren Luke under pressure from Paul Steele, the two black cars. Jonathan Wright in third place, looks ahead. Colin Miller, who sits there in second. The race leader is still Tom Ashton, though, at the moment. Through and over the start-finish line, first lap completed for Tom Ashton. He will drive this car in just the first of our two races this weekend. Gary Kane, the car's owner, will take the wheel for the second of the two races. Good battle going on further down through the field. That's Richard Stables, who's got crawling all over the rear of his car, David Thornburg, car number 70. And here's another good battle as well. Charles Loughran still with David Franklin crawling towards the rear end of him as we ride on board with Charles Loughran. He's caught up with Steve Burgess as well, car number 12, the light blue car. Down the Revit straight they'll come into the first left-hand section of the S's. Then it tightens up for the slightly tighter right-hand section, and through he's gone. So Loughran gains a place. Charles Loughran still outside of the top 8 places currently. Jonathan Wright, the outgoing champion possibly at the moment, who comes into this weekend leading the championship. Colin Miller is not that far away. The back marker lap recommencing. Through and down a lap has gone Gary Baxter, car number 22. As the fight for fourth and fifth place still continues, Darren Luke, car number 7, manages to sneak through and pass the Radical Club Sport in the hands of Ian Charles. We're back on board with Charles Loughran once more, coming through the bomb hole, and problems for Charles Loughran. All of a sudden the car stops accelerating. Into the distance goes Steve Burgess, and it looks as though, hand aloft, that's going to spell retirement for Charles Loughran. He was going very well indeed. We're on to the final lap of the race now. Tom Ashton having led since the red lights went out at the very beginning. Up towards the start-finish line he comes, and Tom Ashton wins the first of our Radical Club Cup races here at Snetterton this weekend. Colin Miller should come through in second position. We ride on board with Jonathan Wright. He'll come through and finish in third position, and it looks as though problems as Jonathan Wright crosses the start-finish line. All of a sudden the engine didn't sound very good, and there may have been problems for Jonathan Wright just as he managed to take the checkered flag. In fact, there were retirement on the slowdown lap for Jonathan Wright. Tom Ashton it is that wins, with Colin Miller in second place. Jonathan Wright keeps his championship hopes alive, coming through in third place, with Darren Luke, Paul Steele and Nigel Place completing the top 6.
Congratulations, Tom. First victory of the season. Great result.
Yeah, brilliant result. Yeah, it's brilliant to have a little one-off go in the Club Cup. I've been driving the UK Cup all year, so I was aiming to try and do quite well, and yeah, awesome. Yeah, enjoyed it.
How's it compared driving the two different cars?
Well, we drive this car in the UK Cup as well, but you know, this one's a front-running car in the Club Cup, whereas it's a midfield car in the UK Cup. So it's nice to know you're going to be up there and get involved. So yeah, it was good fun.
So we now move on to the highlights from the first of the Radical UK Cup races. And sitting there on the pole position is car number 88 in the hands of Terence Woodward in the early stages of this one, because there are mandatory pit stops. It's Derek Johnson, the reigning champion and champion-elect, that sits alongside. The safety car pulls off the circuit. The red lights are on, and as they go out, the cars propel themselves and at significant speed down to Richie's corner for the first time. And it looks as though it's Terence Woodward that's taken the lead of the race in the early stages. You can see lots and lots of cement dust on the circuit as a result of problems in one of the earlier races. We ride on board with Richard Burns. We've got another one of our camera cars in the hands of Man Halalos, directly ahead of us up the inside by the look of things. That will be Ben Jackson at the wheel of the Radical PR6. We've seen him out in a SR8 for most of the season. He's sharing a car this weekend with his father down the Revit Straight. They go for the first time. It is car number 88, Terence Woodward, that leads. As we ride on board once more with Man Halalos, it's Ben Jackson ahead. He's treading very, very gingerly, Man Halalos, and therefore up the inside comes the all-yellow number 7 car in the hands of Tony Freeman. So Man Halalos loses another place at the wheel of the SR8 that he drives. The race leaders come out of the bomb hole. You can see how little visibility there is in some parts of the circuit as a result of that cement dust. And this time Derek Johnson gets a very good run on Terence Woodward as they come down the centre straight over the start-finish line to complete the lap. They're almost side by side. The blue car in the hands of Terence Woodward on the left-hand side of the circuit. Derek Johnson tries right the way around the outside at Richie's corner. He's just about made it stick. He's taken the lead of the race. Very good driving from the man from Nottingham, the reigning champion, who is poised to take the championship. There's contact as well further back. Man Halalos in the middle of the circuit. It looks so there was contact there between the car number 2 of Mike Gardner, who just managed to catch the rear end of number 7 Tony Freeman. You can see the damage to the car of Mike Gardner, the car that's run by RPM Motorsport, that's due to be shared by Alex Mortimer, a former British GT racer this weekend. Down the straight and up towards Sear Corner they go. Damage to the side, and significant damage by the look of things to the side of Tony Freeman's car. He's losing places as a result. Through has gone car number 45. That's the car of Colin Noble. As into the pits comes 88. So we're beginning to get into the mandatory pit stops, and the likes of Terence Woodward will have to remain stationary for 1 minute when Ross Kaiser takes over the car. Into the pits now comes number 45. That's Colin Noble. He's in the Super Sports class, therefore he'll have to remain stationary for 40 seconds. Back out onto the circuit goes Stuart Mosley, having taken over the car that's just been vacated by Derek Johnson. We ride on board with Man Halalos as he makes his way down the pit lane, observing the pit lane speed limit, no doubt. So as they complete their mandatory pit stops and back out onto circuit, it's Stuart Mosley that has very much taken the advantage, going very wide indeed, and that looks as though that will be up at Coram, which is a very daunting corner to go off at. It's number 14, the car of Roger Bromley. Roger did have a chance of winning the championship coming into this race. However, problems in the qualifying session meant that that car started from the very rear of the grid. Here's some more of the back marker lappery going on. Man Halalos is about to be lapped by Ross Kaiser, the very rapid Ross Kaiser, as they make their way down into the braking area for the Russell chicane, where they initially turn right and then turn left and then make their way back up the centre straight. Over the start-finish line they will come. Man Halalos we ride on board with. He looks across to the left-hand side and can see Ross Kaiser alongside him. They come into the braking area for Richie's corner and through he goes. So Ross Kaiser safely now in second place. He's also putting a lap on car number 25. That's our other camera car in the hands of Richard Burns as we ride on board with him. Up towards the checkered flag they come, and it is going to be a victory for Derek Johnson and Stuart Mosley. That pairing will have claimed 7 victories so far this season, and that means that Derek Johnson will be crowned the 2009 Radical UK Cup champion. He will be absolutely delighted with that. So Johnson and Mosley come through and win the race, but Johnson solely is declared the champion. Ross Kaiser and Terence Woodward are second, with Man Halalos claiming a podium in third.